Good morning. It is 9 o'clock on this Thursday, and as we take a look at our weather headlines from across the country, around the region, around the world for that matter, we've got your top weather headlines. There's some interesting stuff to talk about. I want to jump into the topics we're going to be tackling. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. I broadcast from Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina at 13 News Now, and we're going to talk about our topics here. Again, we do focus some on the Mid-Atlantic, but we've got coverage for stories across the country and around the globe this morning. Unsettled weather across America. This has been an interesting situation. We had one big snowstorm that produced all that heavy snow, northern parts of Virginia up through the Mid-Atlantic, and now we're looking at some unsettled weather through the Northeast U.S. As this one system exits, there's another one that is developing on the West Coast, more rain out that way, and we'll talk about some of the impacts. You know, this system that produced all the snow in the Mid-Atlantic touched off severe storms and tornadic damage down across the Deep South. We've got a wrap up of that as well. So one system exits, another one approaches, and then we've got a few other topics we're going to tackle today. I got the brand new drought monitor just came in, so I'll share with you a couple subtle changes from the last week's update. So there have been some changes based on recent rainfall. We've got some fog issues. We've been dealing with those in the Mid-Atlantic, but there's a big issue over in China with a situation that developed. We'll have more on that and more temperature swings to talk about in the forecast as well. So we're going to start off with the national picture. I mentioned this storm system, a big one producing a lot of snow. This area of low pressure now pulling off to the north. There's a frontal boundary out there that is going to push through. And while we warm it up today along the East Coast and the Southeast is really warm, much colder air is set to come in. This was the same system that produced yesterday the tornado down in Mississippi. We've got some video that we'll share with you. Our next system coming in, another big rainmaker for the West Coast. So a lot going on across the country, and here's where we're going to start things off. These winter storms causing damage, tornadoes down in Mississippi, some homes destroyed, and the next threat, the next biggest threat is coming to the L.A. area. Right now, it is going to be rain, and there is good reason that folks are concerned. Andrew Dimbert has the latest.
This morning, evacuation warnings will take effect in Los Angeles as the strongest storm of the season strikes Southern California.
This is a force of nature. It's not like a fire. You can't get on your roof with a garden hose and fight a debris flow.
The warnings are set for parts of the Palisades, Sunset, and Hearst fire burn zones. As officials warn, there is a high risk of dangerous mudslides and debris flows.
The heavy rain will get into Southern California, up to 5 to 10 inches of rain. Obviously concerned about the mudslides potentially near the burn scars.
Are you evacuating?
I'm going to leave tomorrow.
Crews are racing to set up protections. In the Palisades fire area alone, more than 7,500 feet of concrete barriers and 6,500 sandbags have been placed to stop mud and debris.
We have a lot of retaining walls and reinforcing, and now with this added rain is even more stress, and it just seems like it just doesn't end.
The fear? A repeat of 2018, when intense rains triggered mudslides in areas affected by the Thomas Fire, the debris crushing homes and killing 23 people. Flood watches are in place from San Francisco to L.A., with some areas likely to see more than 6 inches of rain. And in the Sierra Nevada mountains, an avalanche watch is in effect with up to 8 feet of snow expected. Winds could gust to 100 miles per hour. Meanwhile, another storm is bearing down on the Northeast as millions dig out from the last storm. Up to a foot of snow is forecast to fall in upstate New York and parts of New England. That same system bringing severe weather to the Southeast. A tornado touching down in Marion County, Mississippi, as storms swept through the area. Strong winds knocking down trees and damaging multiple structures, including this dialysis center. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And we're going to take a closer look at some of those situations that Andrew was just telling us about. Let's start off up in the Northeast again. More heavy snow for parts of upstate New York into Vermont, New Hampshire. Of course, the ski resorts are loving that, but it's a headache for folks to deal with. This is all part of the same system that produced the wintry weather earlier back across northern parts of Virginia and through Maryland over to Delaware and southern parts of New Jersey. Now, warmer air has come into the mix along along the coast. But again, this next kind of piece of this larger system still producing a lot of wintry weather in the Northeast. As we turn our attention back down to the south and the deep south, I want to come back to that extensive tornado damage in Columbia, Mississippi. This is specifically coming to you from Marion County, where a confirmed tornado touched down yesterday afternoon. Several structures were damaged along with downed power lines and trees. Tornado warnings stretched across the southern part of the state on Wednesday. That coupled with heavy rain and flash flooding in the area. Luckily, there were no reports of serious injuries, but obviously a very serious situation down there. And I was taking a look again, Columbia, the town that was specifically hit with these storms as they came rolling through yesterday afternoon. Right there, you saw that cell coming through just to the north of New Orleans there and just up into southern Mississippi. That's where that one was located. Now these storms are pressing to the east. And again, we don't have the severe weather potential today that we saw yesterday, but I am going to revisit that. And we'll talk about the stronger storm outlook for later today across parts of the southeast. Coming back to the west coast in this next storm system, as that one emergency manager was saying in Andrew Dimbert's piece, this is a force of nature when you have tremendous amounts of rain and you get these slides going, especially in some of the areas scarred with the burning and the wildfires over the last month or so. That is setting up for some flows and some different problems with the extensive rainfall. So California doesn't handle the excessive rain very well, and this next system coming in, you can see again from the central valleys in Northern California all the way down through LA, a lot of rain, and then that heavy, heavy snow in the highest elevations of California. Now, before we jump into some more of the weather, just something caught my eye. And again, if you're watching us here on the Weather Desk, there's a good chance that you just have an interest in meteorology and weather. And I want to show you, I asked my producer, and I didn't really expect her to necessarily know the answer, but I said, well, why are these clouds all moving here? You see a lot of this cloud cover and what looks like clouds right here. Why is this stuff not moving? Take a look here. You're going to notice right there. See how that stuff doesn't move? Do you know what that is? That's actually snow on the ground, and that's pictures taken from the visible satellite. So what we have going on here, a couple of different things. We've got our visible satellite combined with infrared, but what I wanted to show you is the visible images. These areas where you see no movement there, that's actually snow on the mountaintops. And if you look closely, I'll show you one more time. Okay, this is the Wasatch Range in Utah. That's the Uintas right here. As you look back over the Rockies, you're going to see it. It extends up towards the Tetons and into the northern Rockies. Another look at that with the visible satellite pictures. Just really cool to see, something kind of fun if you enjoy satellite imagery and you're really kind of a weather geek like I am. That's kind of cool to see that. So that's what those visible satellite pictures are showing me. There is snow out there, obviously quite a bit of it. Now, it's really cold across the north central U.S. Notice this surge of warmer air in the southeast. Orlando right now at 73, Norfolk's up to 55. We're going to reach highs in the lower to mid 60s across parts of Hampton Roads. It will be colder to the north, but this colder air here is set to come in to the area. And we do have those numerous areas under winter storm warning, all shaded in pink. You can see the Rockies back across Colorado. Again, the Wasatch Range up into Idaho, parts of southwest Oregon, northern California bracing for several feet of additional snow. So a lot of snow with this big storm system coming into the west. Let's take a look at our Futurecast. Couple of models here I want to show you. First of all, the American model. And the two things you're going to notice here when I show you the Euro and the GFS, these models are very much in line with each other. And that doesn't always happen, especially, when we look out several days, you start to see differences. They might take an area of low pressure and move it one way versus another based on how the model kind of handles it. But in this case, both the GFS and the Euro are pretty much in line with one another, which gives us quite a bit of confidence as a forecaster looking out over the coming week to 10 days. So what we have for you, again, the rain chances, we've seen it this morning. Snow off to the north, we mentioned that. That system exits. Here comes the next one. Again, snow spreading into those areas that are under the winter storm warning back across the west and the mountains there. As this energy works eastward, we're going to see more snow across the upper Midwest, and eventually our next storm system with more snow across the Great Lakes region and into the northeast U.S. Now, you'll notice for the weekend in the mid-Atlantic, it's not snow with this go around. It's really going to warm up. With an area of low pressure out here and a warm southwest flow, we're going to see temperatures well into the 50s for our Saturday and into the upper 60s for Sunday. So we are talking about rain for Hampton Roads and for coastal sections of, say, Maryland, Delaware, down through Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, all very warm, and we'll look for rain. The snow, though, will be the issue across the northeast U.S., especially from Maine across New Hampshire, Vermont, back into New York State, parts of Pennsylvania there. That'll be into Sunday afternoon. Some more wet weather coming into the Pacific Northwest. All right, that was the American model. This is a look at the European. And with the Euro, again, rain this morning. We'll see this kind of moving along. We're going to dry out later today. And then colder air comes in with more sunshine for Friday. Here's that next system out to the west. Again, you see the Euro producing a lot of snow out there. High confidence in those winter storm warnings that are posted, especially the high elevations. Tons of snow. That's great for snowpack, which folks out there need. That's where they get a lot of the water that they use during the summer. They need these big winter events to build up the snowpack, and then that melts in the summer and fills up the reservoirs, and they can control the water flows better out in some of these areas. They really do depend on winter precip. So we're getting some of that. Of course, travel, maybe a little touch and go at times with this energy coming in. Again, our storm system works across the north central U.S. and then just like the American model showed, it takes aim on the northeast with more snow later Saturday into Sunday and rain again for the mid-Atlantic on south. So again, two similar situations with the wet weather into the weekend and the big warm-up in the mid-Atlantic. This next system, again, energy coming into the Pacific Northwest as we go through Sunday. Very, very similar to what we saw, again, out with the other model, the American model. Now, both of the models, the American and the Euro, both bring in a lot of rain, and it's the Santa Cruz Mountains that are bracing themselves once again. Another heavy storm system headed towards California's central coast, complete with high winds, heavy surf, and a lot of rain. ABC 7 News South Bay reporter Dustin Dorsey has more on what the county can expect over the coming days.
A moment of calm before the storm. Santa Cruz County is no stranger to bad weather, but this week may be the biggest storm of the year thus far.
There's always that thought in your mind of like what else is gonna happen with the storm this time.
It's really the combination of factors that we're seeing develop, not just the rain and the potential for flooding, but the extraordinary winds that will last throughout much of the day on Thursday. And you back that up with a huge wave event on Friday.
County PIO Jason Hoppin says emergency response teams are warning coastal communities from Capitola, New Brighton, and down to Rio Del Mar of the dangers of the wave event.
We were told in no uncertain terms that it won't be safe to be on the beach at all. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some beach closures. I think State Parks is looking at that. We may be looking at that. I wouldn't be surprised if there are parks that are closed too.
I'm just making a mark. I'm gonna drench, so it goes down in the trench down there, all the way down the hill.
The warnings in the mountains are similar in gravity, but different in cause. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and heavy rain could mean downed trees and flooding. Neighbors are getting ready.
I got all these leaves and branches. I'm trying to get the backyard clean before it hits. I got 3 generators ready to go right now. One's broke down in the back, which I'm gonna fix it one day. But yeah, I got things ready to go. I mean, I have the freezer ready. Everything's in front in case it does come over.
David Johnson has lived across the street from the San Lorenzo River for 15 years. He's watched it rise fast before, and he's keeping an eye out this week in particular.
This is where it comes up. This is my flood warning zone. If it comes up to that level on the bottom there, that's when I start freaking out.
There's a chance that could happen this week. Felton Grove in the mountains could see as much as 8 inches of rain, while other parts of the county could see 6. Another day in the life of mountain living.
When it rains, it pours. If it happens, you know.
And there's nothing you could do but prepare and wait for the calm to return. In Santa Cruz County, Dustin Dorsey, ABC 7 News.
Obviously, that is a big story we're going to continue to follow here at the Weather Desk on the West Coast. Now, I'm going to bring it back to the East Coast and what's been happening here and what's going to happen, because we do have some more changes coming up for the Mid-Atlantic region and really the East Coast. I mentioned we're going to see another round of wet weather coming up for the weekend and more snow for the Northeast. That's pretty much what we have right now as we check in 9:10 in the morning. This is on the East Coast, so the Eastern time zone. That's your timestamp there. You see the snow across parts of upstate New York and Maine. We've been dealing with showers across Hampton roads. And when I put the winds on, you'll notice there's a circulation here. That's the area of low pressure right here. And we've got a cold front out to the west. This is going to push through the area. Ahead of it, winds have been coming up from the southwest. A warm front has lifted through the area, and that's why we are warming up today after having a couple days, well, several days that were below average in the 40s. We're getting back up there with the warm air building across the region. I even was tracking a little bit of lightning on 13 News Now Daybreak this morning. Had a few lightning strikes out there, so it was pretty unsettled. This is all out ahead of this. Of course, the stronger storms and the severe weather threat is down to the south. And again, I'm going to have more on that. High pressure will build in. That means a day of sunshine for Friday. But you see this northwest wind, this is much colder air that is set to sweep in. So while the Mid-Atlantic enjoys a nice warm up, the Carolinas back up through Maryland, Delaware, again, parts of Pennsylvania, the colder air will come in behind that front. That's what we have to look forward to for our Valentine's Day. Want to pick up the radar again, not really seeing much lightning right now. Still wouldn't shock me to get a few more isolated strikes down to the south. As we get into the Futurecast again, the rain that's with us through the late morning and the showers around midday, that's eventually going to push out. And then we're going to see maybe a few breaks in the clouds, a few peaks of sunshine late in the day. So temperatures are warming out ahead of that front. We will see the wind shifting and the colder air comes in late in the day. Overnight, skies clear. Then we wake up to 20s tomorrow morning, mid-30s near the coast. Much, much colder than what we were finding this morning. And as we get into the day tomorrow, it just doesn't warm up much. Low 40s to mid 40s across the region. Despite all that sunshine, that north wind is going to keep us chilly. And there might be a northeast gust occasionally at the airport around 15 to 20 miles per hour. So maybe a little bit breezy tomorrow. That's for Friday. Now into the weekend. We look ahead to Saturday, and what you're going to find on Saturday, those winds shifting to the east early in the morning, and then they're going to come around more to the south and the southwest as we get our next system approaching. Notice the rain out there. This is Saturday morning. Temperatures climbing back to the mid-40s as we get more of a southerly component. Now we're starting to push up mid-50s across North Carolina, and that surge, again, working up into the area. Rain across our region, maybe some heavier rain off to the north. It looks like there may be a few breaks into early Sunday, but we've got more wet weather coming in later Sunday. As far as the excessive rain goes and the outlook today, just a level 1 threat down to the south. Severe weather threat pretty minimal down that way as well. Tomorrow doesn't look bad as we shift our attention, but you'll notice again a level 1 threat out to the west with that next system developing as we go through the day. Friday will be dry in the Mid-Atlantic. Again, there are some chances for heavier rain back across the boot heel of Missouri, parts of Arkansas, western parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. But watch what happens as we get into Saturday. This is really going to start to strengthen, and our chances for excessive rainfall go from just a level 1 threat Friday for a small area up to a level 3 or a moderate threat from Memphis all the way to areas just south of Cincinnati and into southern parts of West Virginia. So, I would say anywhere from maybe around Charleston on south, back through Beckley, some of these areas, you could see some of that intense rainfall. And again, the potential is there for some flash flooding with the heavier rain. That rain will extend farther to the northeast as we go into Sunday. And around Hampton Roads in the Mid-Atlantic, just a level 1 threat for that heavier rain, mainly across northern parts of our 13 News Now viewing area. But if you are watching from anywhere in the Mid-Atlantic, know that the rain is coming late Saturday and into Sunday. Right now, the sky view, the Thompson Creek Window Company sky view around Hampton Road, showing some rain showers here. This is at the Half Moon Cruz Terminal. You see the Cruz Terminal there, and a look back over towards the shipyards and Town Point Park. Beautiful right now. Great place. I say beautiful. A beautiful place to visit when the weather is nice. Right now, though, we do have the rain showers that are falling across the area. Now, I will tell you this morning, while there was areas of rain widespread across the north and out to the west, it's been dense fog that has been socked in near the coast and down to the south. We've had visibility less than a mile for many, many locations this morning. Things are improving now a little bit, but it kind of got us thinking, hey, let's dive into the fog a little bit more. My colleague, meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, has a look at our different types of fog and their formation.
I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, here to explain to you how your weather works. Some mornings you may wake up to the gray haze of fog. Let's break down how fog forms. There are 5 different types of fog: radiation fog, advection fog, freezing fog, evaporation fog, and hail fog. Radiation fog is very common. This fog develops under clear skies and calm winds. As the Earth emits radiation at night, the surface air cools off. Once the surface air reaches a dew point temperature, with enough moisture, radiation fog forms. Advection fog is another common type of fog. Advection fog forms when warm, moist air flows over a cold surface. This creates condensation that eventually develops into fog. Freezing fog, as you can tell, happens during cold weather situations. Water drops in the air will remain liquid until they encounter a freezing object and freeze on contact. Evaporation fog can be broken down into 2 subsets: steam fog and frontal fog. You may have seen steam fog before. It looks like steam rising off of a body of water. That happens when colder air flows over warm water and cools the warm air near the surface of the water. Frontal fog stems from rainfall. When warm raindrops fall into an area with dry air, the drops evaporate and add moisture to the air. When the air becomes fully saturated, fog appears. The most rare fog is hail fog. This fog can form when hailstones fall from a thunderstorm and pile up on the ground. This can cause warm, moist air near the ground to cool down to the dew point temperature and spark fog. In all foggy situations, take your time on the roads and use your low beams. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, and that's how your weather works.
All right, Taylor, always enjoy her reports and her weather works. I will tell you, she mentioned hail fog is a pretty rare occurrence, but it's interesting. In my days of broadcast meteorology throughout my career, when I've done storm chasing, on several occasions, I've come up on areas that were impacted by heavy hail. And again, where you've had that hail, I've seen hail fog several times. So I guess that is pretty rare. But when you're out, when that's your profession, chasing these things, you do find it out there. Now, it's interesting that we've had some fog here, but we're not the only ones to deal with it. It's funny, we say here at the weather desk, we look at weather across Hampton Roads, across the region, across the country, and around the world. So right now, we're going to take a look at some other places across the globe, and specifically China. Take a look at this. This was early morning foggy conditions in China, nearly a 100-car pileup due to weather. Now, this is video from AccuWeather on Instagram, and you can see, again, just how dangerous it is. Cars coming through some fog and slick conditions, damp conditions, and they have little time to react. That's why it is so important when you do have foggy conditions that you don't overdrive your visibility. It's easy to do, folks out there driving thinking, oh, I got this, I know where the road goes and what's going to happen. But the bottom line is, if there's fog and your visibility is reduced, you can come into accidents or other debris, things in the road that you just don't have time to react to. So again, we wanted to share that Instagram video. That was from AccuWeather from over in China. All right, if you are a regular weather viewer and maybe you are a farmer, you have some interest in our soil moisture and the drought conditions, we always update every Thursday. We get a new update from the U.S. Drought Monitor. It comes out at 8:30 Eastern each Thursday morning, and the new one just came out. Now, I will tell you, looking, and I spent a lot of time before the start of this edition of the Weather Desk looking at last week versus this week, and I can tell you, many areas very similar. Little has changed. Still, we have extreme drought down across parts of the Southwest, an exceptional drought over West Texas. This is very consistent from what we saw last week. Parts of the north central U.S. continue under drought as well. I will say last week we had just dry conditions, had to clear my throat. Dry conditions up in Washington state. It's now gone to moderate drought there. But we've actually seen some improvements here in the mid-Atlantic, and I want to zoom in because these areas here that are now back into moderate drought were in severe drought last week. That extended, this kind of darker, kind of orange or butterscotch color kind of extended farther to the west. We also had severe drought down around the Albemarle Sound. That has been dropped to moderate drought. And as you can see, we're still very dry here in the mid-Atlantic and moderate drought with severe drought for the eastern shore, the northern neck, and the middle peninsula. But, and this is a significant thing, this drought monitor graphic update, which just came out today, reflects conditions through February 11th, a couple days ago. So they get all the reports in, they put it all together, they adjust all of the drought map information that they put out, and then they publish it all for today. Bottom line is, in the last 2 days, Hampton Roads and much of the mid-Atlantic, some of these other areas that are also under severe drought, have seen significant rain. We've picked up both on the 11th and 12th, which did not come into account to that drought monitor I just showed you. We picked up 2 inches of rain. So some significant rain that should improve things considerably when we get next week's drought monitor. And in fact, this morning you could see areas of moderate to heavy rain. We picked up a ½ an inch around Richmond, a ½ an inch at Petersburg, Wallops Island with 3/4 of an inch. And this is just since midnight. Norfolk at the airport, only a 1/10 of an inch. But Chesapeake, 2/3 of an inch and some very heavy rain over western parts of Chesapeake and parts of Suffolk. So again, these are some of the rain gauges. Bottom line is, while we've seen some improvements here around Hampton Roads, we should see a lot more once the past couple of days and today's rain is factored in. And keep in mind, we've got more rain coming up as we get into the weekend. Our chances for rain around the metro, again, have been with us through the middle part of the day. They're going to fall off, and then we're going to stay dry as we go through Friday. Additional rainfall, mainly down to the south. We're not looking for much, maybe a 1/10 of an inch or so. Some of these areas, you get down into North Carolina, maybe a 1/4 to a ½ an inch of additional rainfall possible. That's today. As we get into Saturday, here comes that heavier stuff, 1 to 2 inches of rain during the day on Saturday and through midnight. By Sunday, we add up some more, 1 to 2 potentially total for Norfolk. So some more soaking rain over the coming days. That's what I want you to know. All right, so today's weather, close to 65 degrees. We've got those scattered showers tapering off as we go through the early to mid-afternoon and then clearing late. We might see some peaks of sunshine. Falling temperatures overnight, 32 at the coast. We'll see upper 20s inland. Tomorrow, back up to 42, sunny and dry. As for the 7-day forecast, there's your chilly Valentine's Day. Remember to take care of your sweetheart, and you may want to cuddle up a little bit. It's going to be chilly around Hampton Roads. Back into the 50s on Saturday, showers developing. Sunday, periods of rain. Temperatures in the upper 60s. After that, another push of cold air. So when we talk about more temperature swings with this active storm track, warm ahead of the cold front, colder tomorrow. Warm ahead of the cold front, colder after that. We do have another chance for maybe some wintry mix coming up next Wednesday. That will depend on whether or not things come together. Some of the models are suggesting we could see it. Others say, no, may hold off till Thursday. There's a lot of uncertainty middle part of next week. But I will mention there's at least a chance for some precip late Wednesday into Thursday. If you want to stay in touch with our forecasts and have all of this available to you, the best way to do it is by downloading the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan that QR code right there. And again, we'll have all of our access to our radar, our forecasts, our special weather coverage. It's always available to you. And I'll remind folks, if you want to find me on social media, here's how you can do it. Go to Craig Moeller at Facebook. You search Craig Moeller, you'll find my professional page there. At Instagram, you'll find it, Craig Moeller TV, and on X, formerly Twitter, 13 Craig Moeller. Any of those ways you can find out what we're posting and get more and more weather information at your fingertips. That's what this is all about. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. Again, we do it today's top weather headlines every day, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock. You find it here. We're broadcasting from Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina, but we've got the entire country, and in fact, at times, the entire world covered with your weather headlines. All right, have a great day, and remember, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Don't get in trouble.